started with health under polity, and we have already seen 5 videos in this under health, and this is the 6th video which constitutes the last part of health series. Under this there are 3 topics which are related to women. The 4th is not related to women, that is Nobel Prize in Medicine. This is general health aspect. So with this video we will be completing the 6-part series of health. More than studying, the method of studying is very important. Hello everyone, welcome to Manifest IAS. You're watching Current Jots. This is Manjunath, Polity Faculty at Manifest. Current Jots is a current affairs initiative which we started on April 1st, and as part of this program we are covering all important current events that have transpired since June last year. We are not only providing free videos but also free PDFs of these videos are available for download. Under this we'll be discussing issues related to health and women. Certain bills are in news. What are the bills which are in news? That we'll be looking at the slides later. But before
subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
Before entering the topic, the most important unique aspect of this program is also about discussing strategies for UPSC preparation, or particularly your prelims preparation, because more than studying, the method of studying is very important. Here I'll be picking up certain questions or certain issues which might which confuse UPSC aspirants while they study, or which pester them with their preparation. So these questions will be answered by me at the end of the video. Also, if you have any specific queries regarding your preparation, you can put your queries in the comment section. Also, if you feel you need a customized solution to your queries, you can write to me. My mail ID is manjuna.manifestis@gmail.com. Moving to the topic now. Under this, the topic is this is the 6th video, the 6th component of health and women. Under this there are 3 topics which are related to women. The 4th is not related to women, that is Nobel Prize in Medicine. This is general health aspect. So with this video we will be completing the 6-part series of health. 3 bills are in news: Surrogacy Bill, Assisted Reproductive Technologies Bill, and also Medical Termination Pregnancy Act is there. Certain amendments have been proposed. Entering the first topic, that is Surrogacy Bill. What does surrogacy refer to? Surrogacy refers to a practice wherein a woman gives birth to a child to an intending couple. Now, this intending couple, on certain grounds, is unable or does not want to have a child. So, in that case, a woman on their behalf will give birth to a child and then hand over the child to the intending couple. So this is generally the idea of surrogacy. But surrogacy has its advantages, and also it has certain drawbacks, because it could lead to commercialization, and also poverty is rampant in India, and it could lead to exploitation of the poor. Surrogacy, the health of the women may be affected they could be exploited, and their health might be affected. So in order to regulate surrogacy, but it also has its advantages. So regulation was required instead of complete prohibition or complete unregulation. So in this, as complete deregulation. In regulation, what is the idea in regulation? It promotes, or it allows only altruistic surrogacy. It does not allow commercial surrogacy. And what do you understand by altruistic surrogacy? A woman can become a surrogate mother only on the basis of altruism, that is charity, and she will not become a surrogate mother, or she'll not be becoming a surrogate mother for her livelihood, or she won't be earning money out of it. All that will be covered under altruistic surrogacy is the health expenses, that is the medical expenses, and also the health insurance of the surrogate mother. So under the bill, it only allows altruistic surrogacy. It does not allow commercial surrogacy. Now, what are the purposes for which surrogacy can be allowed? The basic or the single purpose or single condition in which it is allowed is the intending couple should have a proved infertility. Either of the couple or both should have proved infertility, and how is proved infertility, or how it is proved. There is a proper process for that we'll look into later. And other conditions may also be prescribed through regulations. So this is a point which you have to remember, because all laws give certain leeway to the executive to frame its own rules. This is called delegated legislation. So in the bill itself, it is very clearly mentioned that executive has the authority, that is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare will be having the authority to frame regulations under the bill. So these are the 2 points related to the purpose. Now, what is the condition and how is the certificate of essentiality and certificate of eligibility given? So essentiality and eligibility are processes through which altruistic surrogacy is determined. Now, what is certificate of essentiality? Under this, there are 3 basic conditions based on which the certificate is given. The first condition which has to be fulfilled is there should be a proof that they are one of the couple or both of them are infertile, and this has to be proved through a certificate by district medical board. That is one thing. Second thing is, once the child is born, the adoption and also parentage, the custody of the child should be ensured. As a result, there should be a proper authority which takes care of it. So there should be an order passed by the magistrate court. This is to avoid orphanage of the child once born. Third is insurance. So the surrogate mother also has to be protected from exploitation. So here the medical expenses and also the insurance, health insurance of the surrogate mother is covered for the 16 months, for a period of 16 months after the delivery, postpartum delivery, to deal with postpartum delivery complications. So these are the 3 conditions of certificate of essentiality. Now, what is certificate of eligibility? Certificate of eligibility refers to the eligibility of the couple. So here the first eligibility condition is they should be Indian citizens and they should have married for 5 years. They should not have any children despite unprotected intercourse. This is the condition. Second condition is the age of the wife and the husband is also fixed. Wife should be between 23 and 50, and husband should be between 26 and 55. And they should not be having any surviving child, biological, surrogate, adopted, anything. So it means even if surrogacy is allowed for the intending couple, it is allowed only once. And in configuring this, that is in counting the surviving child, here the physically or mentally handicapped child is not counted. Fourth is any other condition specified by regulation. Here again, leeway is given to the ministry to make regulations under this. So this is certificate of essentiality and certificate of eligibility. Once they get it, what are the conditions for the surrogate mother? That is also prescribed. The surrogate mother should be a close relative. Now, who is a close relative is not clearly defined in the bill. Usually it is usually the precedent laws are considered in order to understand the meaning of close relative. So close relative has also been used in an earlier act that is called Transplantation of Human Organs Act, which was passed in 1994. Under that, close relative is defined. So it is said that the same definition will be followed, but this is now under discussion. Rajya Sabha committee has made a recommendation related to this. We will discuss what it is. Other than that, the surrogate mother should be married and should be having a child of her own. Third is the age is also fixed, 25 to 35, and she can be a surrogate only once in her lifetime. So this is to prevent exploitation. This is also to prevent surrogacy for pecuniary reasons, that is monetary reasons, and also for medical and psychological fitness should be, she should have a medical and psychological fitness for surrogacy. That certificate should be given to her with the appropriate authority. And next is, this is related to the conditions in the couple and the surrogate mother. Now, as a whole, this entire system should be regulated. Hence, there is a requirement of an institutional process. So, institutional arrangement. Hence, it says that there should be an appropriate authority which will deal with the registration and regulation of the clinics, and this appropriate authority should be established within 90 days of the passing of the bill. So once it becomes an act, within 90 days this authority should be established, because that is required to maintain the standards and also prevent any kind of illegal activity in clinics. Registration of surrogacy clinics, when it should be done, there is a time limit fixed. Once this authority is established, within 60 days of the establishment of the authority, all clinics must apply for registration. So this is to streamline clinics, to streamline the registration process. Finally, it also talks about establishment of certain boards, national and state level boards. Now, what are these boards meant for? These boards are meant for policy advising. So when the government makes policies related to this particular system, the entire surrogacy system, it should be advised by certain expert bodies, that is state boards and also national boards are established. So these are advisory bodies, the lay code of conduct also for surrogacy clinics, etc., and also policy matters. Other than that, the idea which we had raised during certificate of essentiality, that is parentage and abortion of parentage and custody, where the magistrate court gives the certificate that the parentage will be given to the parents, but there are certain clause mentioned here. So what happens, in case the surrogate child is to be aborted, how can it be done on certain conditions? Because abortion in India is regulated by an act called MTP Act. So it says that even the surrogate child comes under MTP Act 1971. Hence, abortion process will go according to that. What are the conditions for abortion, that we look into the act later. Other than that, it also says that surrogate mother has the right to withdraw from surrogacy before the embryo is implanted also. So this protects the right of the surrogate mother. Now, in this entire system, there is a probability of misusing surrogacy, giving birth to children for prostitution, other illegal activities, sex selection, etc. So all such activities are prohibited under the offences and penalties. So any such offences or violation of the act will lead to a imprisonment of up to 10 years and a fine up to 10 lakh rupees under this. Next is, so with this we end the surrogacy bill. Moving to the next important bill is, okay, before this, why was it in news recently? The Rajya Sabha committee has made certain recommendations to change surrogacy bill. Those recommendations you should be knowing, because it tries to make the act more broad-based and more right-based. The first change which it seeks to make is with respect to the close relative. It says that since close relative is very, when you narrow it to the clause of close relative, it becomes very difficult for even altruistic surrogacy to be promoted, because it's very difficult to identify a close relative with all those conditionalities, age, marriage, she should be having one person, etc. So this clause is now recommended to be removed. It could be any woman if it is changed, if it is accepted. Second thing is, it also has recommended to remove the definition of infertility. The clause of infertility will be there. The definition of infertility was unprotected intercourse for 5 years even after marriage, even after 5 years of unprotected intercourse. But now what is being done, the definition is being changed, 5 years limit is being removed, because this is considered to be too much of a long period. So third thing is, insurance cover for the surrogate mother was 16 months only. Now it is to be expanded to 36 months. Also, the idea of altruistic surrogacy is narrowing the rights given to the surrogate mother, because only medical expenses and insurance expenses are being covered. So what it says is, there should be other prescribed expenses which should be covered for her, which includes nutritional food, maternity wear, and other things. So this expands the rights of the surrogate mother. Other than that, in the conditions of the couple, what was it mentioned? They should be Indian citizens and they should be married. So this is also a narrow definition. So in order to slightly expand the scope, what it has said is, it is not just Indian married couples, it is also Indian origin married couples, and Indian single woman also can, single woman here refers to a widow or a divorcee between the age of 35 and 45 can also go for surrogacy. This broadens the scope of, or the rights of, surrogacy, a woman who wants to go for surrogacy. But it has to be remembered that it is still altruistic surrogacy, and it is only in the condition of, in cases of infertility only. And single woman, it does not, in any way, the clause of infertility would not be applicable. With this, we finish this act. Moving to the next bill is ART bill, Assisted Reproductive Technologies bill. Now, when surrogacy bill was being passed, there was one major criticism against it, that this bill should have been, I mean, ART bill should have been passed first, should have been introduced, but still then this bill was not even proposed. The ART bill should have been proposed first, passed first, then surrogacy bill should be taken up. It is like putting cart before the horse. Horse is what was the criticism made. What is the idea behind this? Assisted reproductive technology is a broader term. Surrogacy is one type of assisted reproductive technology. Other than that, what does assisted reproductive technology mean? Reproduction through assistance from technologies. It could be in vitro fertilization, it could be artificial insemination, it could also be the gamete intrafallopian transfer, or it could also refer to the idea of ovulation, induction, etc. So in such a, so what I'm trying to say is assisted reproductive technology is a broader term. So this bill should have come first because this gives a framework for even the surrogacy bill. So having realized the mistake, the government has proposed this bill, and this bill is being passed along with the surrogacy bill. Now, what does this bill try to do? So we have discussed what is ART, the scientific part of it. Now, what does this bill try to do? The bill tries to protect. Its aim is two things. First is to provide safety in terms of ART, because the technologies may be detrimental to human beings. So safe procedures and also quality standards need to be developed, and also ethical practices need. When you say ethical practices, avoiding sex selection, or following the laws of abortion, and also protecting the identity of the couple, protecting the child and rights of the child who is born out of out of assisted reproductive technologies. So all these are the issues which are taken care by the bill. Now, what are the important provisions under the bill? The first provision it says is it allows pre-genetic implantation test. It makes pre-genetic implantation testing mandatory. So what does this lead to? So when you make mandatory pre-genetic implantation tests, so embryos have to be tested for any kind of abnormal chromosomes. If there are abnormal chromosomes found, the process will not be furthered, because it could lead to the birth of disformed or malformed children. So this has to be avoided, hence this provision is made. Other than that, there are institutional mechanisms which are created, just like in the surrogacy bill. In this, there is a national board which will, just like there is a body board at the national and the state level for policy reasons, here also there is a board which will lay the code of conduct and also policy aspects. Other than that, there will be an ART bank which will store sperms, semen, oocytes, and also it will help surrogate mothers to and it will also help ART clinics, so to maintain a chain of supply for the demand which is there in case of any kind of assisted reproductive technology is needed. So next is, it also seeks to establish regulatory boards at the national and the state levels, and these boards will be responsible for implementation of the policies, but also they will also be responsible for registration and regulation of the clinics. And there will be a national registry and registration authority which will maintain a database of all these clinics to have to monitor them or to have a regulation over them. What is that? There is punishment also prescribed in case of any violation of the provisions of the bill, or in case of any illegal activities being peddled in the name of assisted reproduction. So in this, what is the punishment prescribed? It prescribes a punishment of 10 lakh fine in the first instance. In the second instance, there is an imprisonment for it would go up to, which may go up to 12 years. So with this, we finish this bill, ART and surrogacy, which should be read together. Finally, there is one more bill, that is MTP Act. Recently, amendments have been proposed. Now, MTP refers to Medical Termination of Pregnancy. This act was passed in 1971. It was a landmark act because it changed or redefined the way of looking at abortion in India. Now, with respect to the idea of abortion, broadly there are two groups. One is the conservative group, which believes in pro-life arguments. The other is the liberal group or the progressive group, which believes in the pro-choice argument. Now, what is pro-life and pro-choice argument? Pro-life groups are those who believe or which believe that the embryos have life and taking away life at any cost is not is not ethical. That is their idea. So they do not support the idea of abortion. What is pro-choice? Pro-choice people believe that the right of the over the embryo and right over reproduction is the right of a woman. So this gives the bodily autonomy to women. It is under, so if you have to read it under Indian Constitution, these people support the idea of abortion under Article 21, because Article 21 talks about right to life and liberty. Your bodily autonomy can be read under this. So see, these people support abortion because it protects the rights of a woman, and it also establishes the right of a woman over her body. So MTP Act, till then abortion had no legal framework in India. Once it was passed in 1971, this was considered a landmark or a progressive act because it allowed abortion in certain cases. Thus MTP Act 1971 establishes the story, or it brings the story of pro-life rights with respect to abortion in India. It gives birth to it. Now, what are the provisions under MTP Act that we look into? Abortion is not allowed in all cases. There are specific conditions which has to be fulfilled. The first condition is abortion is allowed only up to 20 weeks after pregnancy. So, but it is not that it's not just by fulfilling the condition of 20. If it is just within 20 weeks, it is allowed. There are certain specific conditions or situations in which it is allowed. Along with 20 weeks, many other conditions are there. The first condition it says is, in case the pregnancy involves life risks to the mother. So in that case, it is allowed, that too within 20 weeks. Second thing is, in case it causes a grave injury, not life risks, but grave injury to her physical or mental health, that in that case it is allowed. Third is, in case there is a substantial risk to the child itself, maybe a physically or mentally malformed child, if there is a possibility of giving birth to that, then in that case it is allowed. In cases of rape, it is allowed. In cases where it involves a minor, there it is allowed. And in cases where there is a pregnancy due to a failure of contraceptive in a married woman or her husband. So it is only for a couple who are legally married in India. So these are the conditions within which abortion is defined in India. And there is a systematic process for abortion or approval of abortion as well. So having satisfied these conditions, the approval should be got in a specific method. So if the pregnancy is within, or the time elapsed after pregnancy is just within 12 weeks, in that case the approval is needed only by a single registered practitioner, the medical practitioner. And in case it is between 12 and 20 weeks, there is a recommendation needed by two certified doctors or 2 certified medical practitioners. So this is the status of the law today. These are the provisions of the law today. Now, when you look at the bill, though it is a progressive act in 1971, but when you look at the way world has been progressing, this is a conservative act, and it needs to be redefined under the present circumstances, because because it's not only conservative in terms of its ideas, it is also conservative in terms of its scientific explanation, because of scientific reasonings. Because in medical science, it has been now established that the malformation of an embryo cannot be seen within 20 weeks. It actually starts showing up after 20 weeks. So the idea or the reasoning that it should be done within 20 weeks does not serve its purpose. So keeping that in mind, the upper limit, the gestational period, is now being changed. So what are the changes which are being made? The first change which is being made is the gestational period is now being changed. Upper limit is now being changed from 20 weeks to 24 weeks. So with this, we are almost on par with the international standards. Second thing is, now once the limit has been changed, you should also change the process. There earlier it was till 12 weeks, it was one registered medical practitioner. Now it is changed to 20 weeks, one registered medical practitioner, and from 20 to 24 it is now 2. So just a change in terms of gradation has been made. Other than that, the most significant change is, earlier it was only for a married couple abortion was allowed in case of a proved contraceptive failure. Now this has been changed. Even unmarried women are allowed now. So this is a very progressive thought, wherein this falls in line with the idea of legalizing live-in relationship, because Supreme Court in recent judgments has recognized live-in relationship, and it has also recognized the idea of maintenance in live-in relationships recently in a particular case. So this is all under Article 21, wherein the scope of liberty is expanding in India. It also has raised gestational limit, that is 20 to 24, for all the categories. When I say all the categories, it means in case of all those conditions which I said, maybe a malformed child, risk to the life of the mother, or injury to the mother, possible injury, etc. So in all cases, the gestational period has been changed. Gestational limit has been changed. Also, it makes a very important provision of protecting the particulars of women whose pregnancy has been terminated. So this is to protect, this is an ethical aspect, this is also to protect the privacy of the woman, as right to privacy has been recognized in Puttaswamy case in 2017 as a fundamental right under Article 19 and 21. So with this, we finished 3 important acts, and with this we end health and women. Moving to the last topic, that is Nobel Prize in Medicine, Physiology particularly. It is Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 2009 was jointly awarded to 3 people. First is William Callan, and next is Peter Radcliffe and Greg Semenza. What was their contribution? The contribution was they were studying how cells in the body sense and act according to the availability of the oxygen. So they were studying the levels of oxygen and the responses of the cells and the various parts of the bodies with respect to the levels of oxygen in the bodies. Now, how does this study help, and what could be its possible implications? That we'll look into. Now, what is the importance of oxygen in the body? The most important function of oxygen in the body is, of course, the conversion of food into useful energy, that is the respiration process, and it is used by the mitochondrial cells. And what were these people studying? These people were studying the molecular machinery that regulates the activity of genes. So according to the changes in the levels of oxygen. Now, there are certain terms you should be knowing with respect to the levels of oxygen. There are 2 terms, hypoxial and hyperoxial conditions. What is hypoxial condition? When your body has lesser oxygen, it is called hypoxial condition. Hyperoxial is when your body has higher levels of oxygen. So depending on these levels, the responses of the body and the cells also change. Now there is a specific organ in your body called carotid body. These are the specific cells adjacent to large blood vessels on both the sides of your neck, and these your hypoxial and hyperoxial conditions are measured by these carotid body cells, and these will help in assessing whether you need oxygen in specific cases. So generally when you have hypoxial conditions, these carotid body they detect, and this stimulates a process called erythropoiesis. So what is erythropoiesis? Erythropoiesis is production of RBCs. RBCs production increases in this condition where there is lesser oxygen level, and the entire process of erythropoiesis process is through the production of a hormone called erythropoietin, and this entire process is regulated by your kidney, the central organ with respect to erythropoiesis. Now, so these scientists were studying the response mechanisms of cells in hypoxial conditions or with respect to varying levels of oxygen and how erythropoiesis happens. So what is the importance of this study? What is the importance of this discovery? Generally what happens is, in hypoxial conditions, a person who is having a chronic renal failure, who's suffering from this, he also suffers from severe anemia. Why? Because of less erythropoiesis expression. Because I told you the central organ with respect to erythropoiesis is kidney. So so these aspects or these discoveries will help in studying diseases better. It will help in treating anemic conditions. It will help in treating coronary heart diseases in case of chronic renal failure, because usually in hypoxial conditions coronary heart diseases emerge, anemia emerges. So by understanding this, many diseases can be addressed. Also, there is an important development, which possible development under this, because with respect to cancer specifically, when you treat cancers, what usually happens is the cancer treatment attacks the good cells also. It does not particularly attack the hypoxial cells. Now through this, once it is understood as to once we understand the mechanism of hypoxia and also how cells respond, it will be you can easily identify hypoxial cells. So while treating cancer, only hypoxial cells can be identified and treated. So these are this is the importance of these discoveries. Now, why this is important with respect to prelims? Generally, we have seen that in prelims, questions are related to the major breakthroughs and development, and this they get a cue from Nobel Prize winners. And this because in 2010-11 there was specific questions asked related to graphene, there was green fluorescent protein, etc. These were all Nobel Prize discoveries made in the times of 1990s. So keeping that trend in mind, this particular issue has been dealt. So Nobel Prize in other subjects will be dealt in science and tech. So just let us know certain historical aspects related to this. In 1938, there was a Nobel Prize given for discovery of the carotid body, and also how the hypoxial, and also how it assesses the levels of oxygen in India. And the 2019 discovery is considered as a development of that part of history. Now, as far as there is this controversial issue related to erythropoietin as well. It is banned by World Anti-Doping Agency. This particular hormone, this is synthetic oxygen, is generally used by athletes in order to pump up their energy, and because it accelerates the respiration process, it releases energy. So this has been banned by WADA, that is World Anti-Doping Agency. What you have to remember is erythropoiesis is helpful only in hypoxial conditions, but it is very harmful to people. If erythropoiesis happens, or production of more RBCs and oxygen happens in already normal and healthy people, it can lead to serious health risks. So this is the point which you have to remember. With this, we end this particular video. Almost all the topics have been done. Coming to the penultimate part, that is questions related to the topic. I have given 3 questions under this. These questions will be pinned in the comment section. Do answer them. It is a method to assess yourself as to how much of the video you have understood. It is also a method for our assessment as well, as to how students are progressing. And more importantly, based on your responses, we are thinking of giving you a full-fledged test after completion of certain topics, which will help you be in the loop of preparation and also maintain the motivation level. Now, coming to I'll just give you the idea of what are the questions related to. First question is related to erythropoiesis. Next is MTP Act 1971 related to abortion. Third is related to Surrogacy Bill 2019. Now, coming to the final aspect of this video, that is the strategy talk, in which I have raised the issue of, are there any correct and wrong methods of current affairs? This is one of the most dreading thing for most people, because of many things. One is, many have not understood what exactly is current affairs. Second is, has no longer remained current in UPSC, because most of the questions these days are not of the year preceding the exam. It is years 3-4 years. They're going to questions related to 3-4 years prior to the exam. So this has made life difficult, and more importantly, the flooding of material in the market related to particularly to current affairs has made it very hard for UPSC aspirants